Hi, and welcome back to my channel.
You can be anything you wanna be. You can go anywhere you wanna see.
Pretty much what I'm going to be doing today is talking about my thoughts, feelings and opinions on the Cats movie, which I saw a couple of days ago now. I mean, obviously, first and foremost, what I want to say is that these are my thoughts and opinions. Some people might have hated it, some people might have loved it. Everyone is entitled to their own thoughts and opinions. These are just mine, of someone coming from a theatre background. So I thought I'd share them with you and kind of have a bit of a conversation, see what you guys thought about it. I have my notes. There are a lot of notes. I will be completely honest and say I actually did enjoy it. There were definitely quite a few things in it that I was not super keen on, and probably things that a lot of people were not super keen on. But look, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay. It definitely could have been a lot better, I think. But obviously I'm not the producer or the director, or I'm not behind the scenes of the show, but there are definitely a few things that I felt they tried to do that maybe did not come across as they either A, intended, or B, wanted them to. So I'm going to start off with kind of the more positive stuff, the stuff that I really enjoyed seeing. One of which being that there was a lot more structure in the film. So for any of you that knows Cats, like the musical, like the stage show, they're kind of, there's like a plot but there's not a lot of structure to it. It's kind of just like songs that kind of all have to do with cats and Jellicle Cats and the Jellicle Ball. So they added a lot of structure to it, which I actually quite enjoyed. I felt like there was more progression throughout the story, though the progression wasn't super clear. It definitely felt like there was more structure to it and more movement. I absolutely adored Francesca as Victoria. She just made me feel really safe. Like, she's obviously a trained ballerina, that's what she does, that's what her profession is, and I believe this is her first film. I could be wrong, correct me if I am wrong. I do believe it's her first film, but it just gave me a sense of security having someone in that role that I just went, yes. She just sits very well in Victoria, and she had this really light, lovely, sweet voice that I feel really contrast to some of the more defined voices like Jay Hudson in it, that just made you feel, I don't know, just the innocence of Victoria and that exploration that she goes through. So I think the casting of Francesca, and I might be saying her name wrong, spot on. Another just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful moment in the show was Jennifer Hudson performing Memory. It was such a heartbreaking performance of that song. It was heartbreaking but also almost liberating as well. Like, I absolutely adored her performance throughout the entire film. Obviously there were some things not directly to do with her, but just the film in general that made it a little bit harder to watch at times. But Jennifer Hudson's performance in the whole thing was just beautiful. She's beautiful, that's all I have to say. Jennifer Hudson is beautiful. I absolutely loved Judi Dench as Old Geronimo. I loved Judi Dench in that role. I mean, I know that that's traditionally cast as a male, but I think the decision to cast Judi Dench in particular in that role was just, it was just right. It just sat and it was like, yes, I enjoyed this. Also, Idris Elba as McCavity, definitely an interesting choice. I think he was great. My favourite part is when he would sweep the cats away and he would go meow. The people meowing was a little bit meme-ish. I'd definitely say I was a little bit skeptical of some of the castings when it initially came out, who was going to be in the film. Like, I am a massive Taylor Swift T-Swizzle fan. I will rock her music until the end of time. And I adored, like, I loved her performance in the movie. Like, I don't know, it just felt really cool. I loved the tone that she brought to it as well. I just really liked it. And just overall, the casting, which at first I was like, okay. Seeing it the casting at least come together, I really enjoyed that. I definitely think like I've said, there were quite a few really good elements in the movie separately. I think when they were kind of all brought together, it felt like nobody really quite understood what was happening or the tone of the film. Like, it felt like some of the characters were very serious and took everything that was happening very seriously, while others were kind of just having a bit more fun with it, were a bit more light with kind of the themes of the show, which I kind of preferred at times. But it just felt like overall nobody really understood what was happening. Like, maybe there wasn't enough communication, I don't know, I wasn't personally on the set. So yeah, it did feel a little bit disjointed at times. One of the things that I was not the biggest fan of, I completely get why they added it, but that was the barge scenes, like on the barge in the River Thames. I just didn't particularly like it. Like, I get why it was added, and like I get like thematically and like in terms of storytelling why it was added, but I was just kind of like, okay. And the big thing that kind of was, yeah, just a very unpleasant thing for a majority of the time was, as I'm sure most people agree, was the CGI. It just kind of, I just hoped for something more or something a little bit different. Like, in my mind, what I would have loved to see was a bit more of a mix between like the original show costumes, like what you see on Broadway, like those show costumes, mixed with like a little bit of CGI. And maybe that comes with the territory, like correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is probably one of the biggest films with that many CGI characters that are all dancing as well. Like, it felt like there were times they looked like they were hovering, and it looked like they were just like kind of sliding across the floor when they clearly weren't sliding in the kind of act of what they were doing. I would say the CGI didn't ruin the whole thing for me, and I really hoped I would get used to it, but I just didn't. It just felt very rushed almost. It just didn't feel clean at all. That being said, there was a couple of moments where with the CGI I didn't mind it, and I thought they were kind of nice. Like some of the close-ups, like some of Jay Hudson's close-ups, like Judi Dench and Mr. Mistopheles, their close-ups tended to be nice, because I think for Old Geronimy, it's because of all the hair that she had, it just looked a little bit more realistic almost. Something I actually thought of while watching the film was that the CGI actually reminded me of you know those videos that people make, like jib jabs, where it's like a dancing elf and like you put a photo of your face onto the elf. That's kind of what the CGI reminded me of at times. I'd say overall, the CGI did not ruin it for me, it just added quite a big chunk of a cringe factor. It's just not what I expected or really what I wanted to see. Overall, I didn't hate it, but it was just a little bit weird. There were some odd choices happening, and it didn't really feel like there was one set direction that they were taking the film. So I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. It was kind of just meh. And I do feel like it wasn't a super accurate representation of the show, which is a little bit disappointing. I do like when they do stuff like this and it brings kind of music theatre out into the kind of general population a little bit more. Though I don't feel like it was a fully accurate representation of the show and what the show kind of represents. Honestly, it wasn't quite as bad as I expected it to be, but was not great either. If I had to give it a rating, I would probably give it 6 out of 10. 6 cats out of 10. But if people did enjoy it, that always does make me really happy. And at the end of the day, you know, it's different, it's new. We shall wait and see what happens next. That's just me, that is my opinion, that is my view on it, coming from someone who grew up with cats and has grown up in the theatre and still works currently in the theatre. Just my thoughts, feelings and opinions on the movie. But that is it for today, so thank you so much for stopping by my channel and having a watch of my video. If you did like this, feel free to like and subscribe down below. I would love to see you here next time. And of course, if you do have any thoughts, feelings, opinions on cats, theatre, books, anything really, any feedback at all, feel free to leave it in a comment down below. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye!